Welcome to This May Get Raw, Building Wise Resilience, a podcast by survivors for survivors. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Sara. As domestic abuse survivors, we know what it's like to rebuild after the unthinkable. We're here to walk alongside you from surviving to thriving. Each week, we'll invite you into honest conversations about the hard stuff and the powerful stuff. The shame, the fear, reclaiming your identity, and stepping into the life you deserve.
This may get raw, but that's where transformation happens. Let's get started. Hey!
Hi!
We are here doing our first introduction episode to This May Get Raw, Building Wise Resilience podcast. How are you doing?
I'm excited to be here. I'm ready to roll with the punches and learn how to record a podcast. And I'm generally just feeling very excited about what we're going to bring today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel like we have had a couple of glitches beginning, let's be honest. That's part of what we bring to this space of podcast is authenticity. So I'm ready. I'm excited and ready to play in the sandbox. So let's introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is Lisa Croak. I am a life coach, a speaker, a consultant, and a survivor. At 16, I met someone, we got married, had a family, built a career and a life. And at 42, in a moment of sheer terror, I found myself needing to make a decision that no one should ever have to make. I left my home with nothing. And I had to rebuild everything, my home, my career, my sense of self, my future. 8 years later, I'm here to tell you rebuilding is possible, not just surviving, but thriving. I've built a new career, launched my own business, found love again, and strengthened the relationships that matter the most to me. And I personally desire to change the narrative around domestic abuse and encourage those who have survived. You have the skills that can propel you towards thriving. I am not unique. And so I am excited to enter into this space and help as many other survivors as possible.
I'm right there with you. I'm so excited to connect with people and invite them into this conversation. So I'm Sarah Judith. I am an author and a memoir ghostwriter, and I specialize in helping survivors of all kinds reclaim their narratives and stand in their power by telling their stories. But what drew me to this work in the first place was telling my own story. I am also a domestic abuse survivor. I left an emotionally, psychologically, and verbally abusive relationship nearly 6 years ago. And in the time since, I have poured everything I have into healing and rebuilding. And now it's my absolute honor and privilege to wake up every day and help other survivors use some of the tools that I've used over the years, like writing and creativity, to progress through this journey into the next chapter of their own healing and their own stories. So I can't wait. I can't wait to get into it with you.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you're on the other side.
Same.
And I'm so grateful that we've been able to connect. And so I thought what we could do is we could talk a little bit why we're in this space together, how we met, talk about the title, and who our audience is. And then we wanted to talk about expectations, right? So this is an intro episode. So we thought it would be helpful to say, okay, if you continue to listen to us moving forward, these are some, I don't want to say non-negotiables, but some just expectations right up front
Right.
of who we are, and what we're hoping to accomplish in this space. So,
Absolutely. This is what you're
um,
gonna get.
exactly, back and forth, both of us coming from the survivor space. What I thought would be helpful is just talk about how we met.
Yeah.
So we met at a corporate event that evolved into this friendship, and you're further along in your journey. You're an entrepreneur. I'm now an entrepreneur, but have that common thread and um, want to support each other professionally and personally. And so, but we did, I don't even remember what year it was that we met. It's been a few years.
It's been a few years now, yeah. But so that corporate event, it was a domestic violence awareness month campaign. And that was the one of the very first times I started telling my story a bit more publicly to people
Mm.
outside of, my immediate trust circle. Um, and I just remember when we connected, when you reached out to me after the event, to share your story, that was one of the first moments of, like, survivor to survivor connection that I had.
Mm.
And that, like, that Me Too moment, was just really, really powerful, like, connecting with someone who got it, right? Not just kind of at the surface intellectual level, but you so often when we talk, I know that you know what I'm feeling in my body because you
Yeah.
feel that same kind of visceral reaction to things. So that moment of connection was really, really important to me as I started kind of the next chapter of being a survivor, and that's part of what I'm so excited to bring here is some of that Me Too moment for people who might be listening, who might not have ever connected with another survivor, to just help them feel that there are people out there who see you and deeply understand you.
Yeah.
As shitty as it all is, we shouldn't have to understand any of this, but since we do, since we find ourselves here, we can't do it alone. That support is so important.
I did not know that that was the first one of the first connections that you had. I remember reaching out and those in the audience that work in a company, like you have your own different ways of communicating internally. So it was an internal communication, and it just was like I don't know if this is appropriate. I'm just putting myself out there, but I could see you were being vulnerable. And so it was that touch point of like, hey, if I can help you feel less, I just shared all this. What the heck?
Totally naked in front of the whole company, yeah.
Right. Vulnerable. And unfortunately, we both know this. People don't always know how to respond when you share a story like that. So it can be crickets, which is understandable because no one wants to say the wrong thing. However, it was just that moment of like like I see you, right? Like I
Mhm.
see you. And so yeah, so the journey continues. Now we're recording a podcast together.
Who would have predicted?
Who would have, right? So I think that kind of talked about like how did we decide to work together in this particular space? Because obviously we're
Yeah.
building this friendship, but do you want to start
Yeah.
on how that started?
Yeah, it's felt really just kind of like an organic, natural progression of things, like we were always gonna get here at some point. The more professional, entrepreneur side of things, for me really kicked off when I, recently launched a newsletter. It's on LinkedIn, and it's called Feathers in Flight, and it's geared towards telling survivor stories. And when I was making my list of people that I wanted to interview for the newsletter and feature and tell their stories, you were one of the first people that popped into my head. Like I said, you've been one of my first survivor contact touch points, and just a really important player in the past few years of this journey for me. So yeah, your name immediately sprung to mind, and you were obviously gracious enough to be interviewed for one of my very first editions. And yeah, I feel like it's just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah. Can we call ourselves survivor buddies? I don't
Oh yeah,
know,
I like that. Yes.
like yeah, we're survivor buddies. And so I remember we had the conversation, we had the interview.
Mhm.
I had been thinking about this podcast. For those in the circle that know me, I have talked about this for years. And it was just this moment of like, what if Sarah joined me? What if this was a collaboration, not from an aspect that we could both be on the continued healing journey, but we had enough in common to build on. And I thought that it would be really fun to do a podcast together. And I am a very analytical person and I think of everything, but it was one of the first times that one of the only times that I have reached out in my life and just gone, I'm just going to call her, and so it kind of went from there, like, let's do the podcast and let's see where where we were both willing to see where it takes us. But why now? Like, yes, we
Yeah,
connected, but like why now? Why are we both coming to this in the fall of
right.
2025 going,
This is the time. You've
this
been
is the
talking
time?
about this for years.
Yeah.
I It's funny, when you called me in the airport, you were the 4th or 5th person who had brought up a podcast to me in, like, the 2 weeks prior, and I would never have done this on my own, but it was finally enough of the universe telling me, like, "Okay,
Yeah.
you have to listen to this nudge." Yeah, so but why now for you?
So I mentioned that it's fall of 2025. There is a lot of chaos going on around us. We are not, I don't think anybody in any circle would say that we're living in stable times. And as a survivor, it is infuriating and quite triggering on a regular basis to see a bully in power. And I can't solve all the problems. I can't solve all of the consequences of this person's action. But I can do something. And
Mhm,
so I see a lot of similar traits and personality and characteristics in my previous relationship to the the um, the culture that we find ourselves in. And this is kind of like a big F you guys, like we are still here, we are still standing. And I think that we can offer others who may be experiencing this for the first time on this type of level where it's impacting everyday life for so many
mhm.
people to say, we are resilient, we can continue to grow, and there is a way to move forward. So it's that personal stick it to the man, but then it's also like I feel like I have something to offer, not from a place of having it all figured out, but from a place of going, it's possible. Like it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, for people who've never experienced, any kind of abuse, to be in this culture now where it's kind of just seeping into everything
Yeah,
that we're living, it's hearing from survivors that, like, "Okay, you're not crazy."
right. Right.
This is actually the playbook, right?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
and this is how you fight back. This is how you don't let yourself go crazy. Yeah, there's that personal side, and then that draw to help the collective through a really wild time that we're going through right now. For me, almost 6 years in now, I feel far enough along in my own journey to be ready to reach out to the collective and to help people, not necessarily behind us on the journey, but with us on the journey, and have these open conversations. Because, like you said, we don't have everything figured out. That we're not pretending to have everything figured out. That's not why we're here.
Right.
It's letting people who are experiencing this, whether it be in their personal lives or just in the collective, letting people know that you're not alone. You're not crazy, and this is something that you have the strength to survive and to turn into good on the other side.
Right. Right. I think what I would add too is just that being seen and heard.
Mhm.
Right. And
Yep.
we've talked about this slightly, and this is a great space that we'll continue to delve into in the podcast is one person saying something can change it, right? And
Mhm.
hearing, oh, someone else is seeing what I'm seeing and I'm not crazy. Like that is like breath, that is life, right? That's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Um, and some people don't get that, but
Yeah.
it's really like, okay, I'm going to be okay today. Like, okay,
Yep.
I got it. I can keep going.
Just having that validation. Yeah, if someone had come to me in the middle of that tumultuous time in my relationship and said to me, "Hey, you're not crazy. This is abuse." I can't imagine how that would have changed things
Right,
for me,
exactly.
right?
Exactly, exactly. So I think that naturally brings us to the place of like, who is this podcast for? Who are we hoping will listen? And I know again, this is something we've collectively talked about or together we've talked about. First of all, everybody is welcome for this podcast, right? And we understand there's a spectrum
Mhm.
of people that have experienced abuse, and that would be a victim who may still be in it, someone who just may is getting out and trying to put a roof over their head and food in their mouth, right? Very basic. And then you've
Mhm,
got those of us that are further along in the journey where we have a few years under our belt and we are not living in daily fear, and we've
mhm,
got a rhythm and we have a steady paycheck and we have like a okay, we're okay. And then you've got those of us that are also thriving, like I find joy and I see a future and I'm in a place that I'm safe enough to think of a future, because we can't always do that when we're in the thick of it.
yeah,
Um, However, I think we will probably appeal more to those that are further along in their journey. But our desire is to really to encourage those that are safe, there have been a few years out, that are getting the help that they need with therapy, that they have some tools in their tool belt,
mhm,
but to also encourage with more tools and to encourage, hey, you can go further. Further is
right.
possible.
I again, yeah, everyone is welcome, and it's my deepest desire is to be able to help people who are still in it or immediately getting out, giving some kind of hope and resources. But when you're in the thick of rebuilding your day-to-day physical safety, financial safety, figuring out, like you said, how you're gonna put a roof over your head, where you're gonna live, what your, like, day-to-day life is gonna look like, it's
Yeah.
really hard to have the bandwidth to think about the deep inner work that comes next, right? So, and that's a lot of what you and I love to talk about. What we're going to be sharing here is that kind of that deeper inner work. So, like you said, we're probably gonna appeal more to people who are further along on the journey. And I love that you brought up people on the outside too, allies and advocates, as I love to call them, our family, our friends, our loved ones, our colleagues who want to support us, but to support someone going through abuse or going through their survivorship journey, it's important to know how to do that effectively and how to do that safely in a way that doesn't cause, re-traumatization or anything like that. So I'm really excited to reach out to those allies and advocates and hopefully share some of our experiences about how people in our lives have been able to effectively support us, to give people, some more tools, if they have a loved one in their life who is a survivor, things that they can do to take a more active part in that healing journey.
I think the other piece too is we hope that if there are professional advocates and therapists and people that work at crisis centers, that this can be something that they can learn from just by listening to the conversation. So this is intended to be a space where you people are coming, they're listening to two survivors having a conversation, with the hope of educating. It's heavy but important work.
Mhm. It is, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a great segue into what our title means. Because I love
Yes.
our title. I am absolutely obsessed with our title, and the people I've told about it are like, "That's perfect. That's perfect. It captures everything." Um, so obviously, the main title is "This May Get Raw," and that kind of just captures the whole journey of being a survivor. For me, it's been allowing myself to get back in touch with all of the emotions, not feeling like I need to put up this protective barrier around myself anymore or numb anything, and just letting it be raw. And sometimes that's raw joy, right? Raw doesn't necessarily have to mean a bad thing, but sometimes it is. It's the raw grief, it's the raw pain, it's the anger, it still fucking pisses me off that we have to have these conversations, right? These and so this we're creating the space to be a place for us to have those raw conversations. So there are episodes that are going to be heavy. They're going to be heavy for our listeners, and they're going to be heavy for us. I mean, you and I have cried together on countless Zoom calls now at this point.
And we plan on continuing that. That
Yes,
is just the
absolutely. So, and everyone prepare themselves. There are
yeah.
going to be tears,
Yes.
but that's part of what we wanna do here is strip away the masks and show people, like, this is what survivorship looks like, for better or for worse, right?
Right. 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 And that aspect of being real and authentic. So as people can already see, we are not polished. We're not trying to have it all figured out. I'm in my office, you're in your office. We're just trying to, we're working with what we have with our laptops. We've had, as mentioned earlier, technical difficulties.
It's been
We
a fun morning.
we have. We are just two humans saying no more. Like,
Right.
let's talk real talk about what this looks like on a daily basis because you don't get out and then everything goes back to normal. There is a new normal. Whether you are in a relationship for a few months, whether it's a few years, whether you are married or you're not married, it impacts you. The other piece of the title is Building Wise Resilience, and that is everybody standing today is a resilient person. We have all experienced trauma. However, building the wisdom is learning from what we've gone through, and you touched upon it earlier when you're further along in your journey and you get to do that inner work. Like, I don't want to find myself in that situation again. How do I do that? Like,
Right.
what's going on for me? Like, how do I protect myself if I am triggered, which I am going to be. I'm going to be triggered. That's part of our
Part
survivorship.
of our existence, yeah.
Right. Right. So it's building the wisdom to say, okay, I am resilient and I want to be able to, in turn, be able to offer that to others and learn. So
Mm.
I too love our title. And I do want to give a shout out. I have a collective. We have a collective that
We
helped
have a
us come up that helped come up with the title. So I guess the other thing before we just go into we're going to go into some expectations. You see us on camera, you hear our voices. We are not here standing alone. We have so many people that have poured into us, so many people that have continued to pour into us. And part of my hope with being an audience or appealing to advocates and allies is knowing we are standing here because you may have been a person that we talked to for 20 minutes when we called a hotline. You may be someone that never hears from a survivor to say, I wonder how they're doing. And so we're here to offer that hope and say, thank you.
yeah.
Your you building into us helps us stand here and navigate and then in turn be able to offer hope. And
Yeah.
it's fucking hard.
Those things are absolutely
Absolutely
true.
true. A
Yeah.
foundational truth of healing. Two things can be true at the same time. So,
Mhm. Yes.
um, so rolling into expectations, and hopefully it is very clear by now if you are still listening, we are not trained mental health professionals. We are not therapists. We don't claim to be therapists. We are talking about our own lived experiences and sharing our own personal stories. We are real, authentic people. You are watching healing in real time. And regardless of where you are on your journey, you may need more support. And so we are not trained mental health professionals.
Yes, and I mean, I feel like we cannot reiterate that enough,
Yes.
especially for folks who are listening who may still be in a situation of abuse
Yes.
or have just gotten out and they're in that initial rebuilding phase. It's not even might. You need more support. You do. So please get it. And there are resources out there for that can help with the financial aspect of that and the physical and psychological safety aspect of that we will be sharing, but yeah, the like we said, the main people we're going to appeal to are further along in their journey, and if you are in that beginning stage, please stay. We want you to stay. We want you to listen and hopefully get some hope and some tips about what your second chapter can look like, but you need to get the actual day-to-day support that you need right now. I know I would not have made it through without my therapist and my advocate, and lawyers, and yeah. So
The tax accountants, all kinds of people. I do want to also add here, Sarah, because I think it's important. If you are still in it, always be safe.
yes.
Always use precautions. Cyber stalking, technological abuse, it's real.
Yeah.
We have talked about creating a platform that is safe, but we are not in control of the interwebs, and therefore we cannot clear your browsing history.
Mhm.
But we understand that this can be risky to listen to, so just know that. And I hope that we can offer you hope. So if you are in a situation and you're starting to realize you're in a situation, stay safe. Everybody is at a different cycle, so I just wanted to make sure we covered that.
So, kind of along the same lines of being safe and protecting ourselves, you're gonna notice that Lisa and I, we're not naming names. We're not giving out, personally identifying information of any sort about people in our past. We're not our point in being here is not to out anyone, right? That's not the point. That's not anything we want to do, both for our own well-being and for just, general karma from
Yeah,
my perspective.
yeah,
But also, the point of us being here is we're telling our stories, all right? We're not telling someone else's stories. We're not telling the stories from people from our past. We're telling our own story, our own narrative. And for me, that's a really powerful way to reclaim that narrative. To do what I do for my ghostwriting clients. What my purpose is there is to stand in my power and tell my story. It's about me and my experience. So for me, that's a lot of the reason why I'm not gonna name names. I'm not going to give away a whole lot of identifying information. That's not the point here. That's not why we're here. We're looking forward. We're not looking to the past.
I think we've already shown this also. We're going to go from heavy to lighthearted. So take care of yourselves. If at some point you get triggered by something that's said, you have agency over your own body. And I know that to some of you listening, that may seem like, well, duh, I can just shut it off. But that is not our reality as survivors. As survivors, we were always on high alert. We never shut anything off because we had to be hyper vigilant. So we will continue to be here with our podcast episodes. If you need to shut us off, please take care of yourselves. And we hope you come back. But that's okay if you don't.
You've probably also picked up on this is that we're not showing up as polished people. We're not aiming for perfect here
We can't
because
even
that's
fake it.
just
Like, we can't
right.
even
Yeah,
fake it.
seriously, yeah. We're gonna curse, we're gonna
Yeah.
laugh at inappropriate things. We're real people and we want to present ourselves as real people. If you're looking for real voices and authentic voices, and pulling back the curtain of what it actually looks like to live this journey, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, again, we don't have everything figured out. Um, this is about inviting you all into our conversations with fellow survivors who have been through it and are committed as fuck to healing and embracing the suck and the joy, all of it.
And, so just like there's not like one emotion we're gonna be talking about here, we're different people. We have a shared experience, but we're different people. And just like any other demographic, survivors are not a monolith, right? We don't all think the same way. We don't act the same way. We don't share the same beliefs about anything, right? So we're not claiming here to be speaking for all survivors. It's not like what we say is Bible truth for every single person who's gone through, a similar journey. We're speaking from our lived experiences only. So, we might have preferences about language that we like to be used, or, tools that we use to help us along here that just won't be applicable to everyone, and that's okay.
You and I've talked about this before. We understand that we are two white women.
Yes.
The color of our skin and uh, it we have a different lived experience than others, and so we recognize that.
Our ability to get out of the situations we were in and rebuild our lives. We have had privileges and opportunities that other survivors just flat out don't have, which is equally fucked up and
Disturbing and fucked up.
infuriating.
Yeah.
Yes. Our lived experience is much more privileged than a lot
Yeah.
of people's, and we definitely don't want to skate over that or seem like we're ignoring
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing, another aspect is that trauma is raw and tricky. So, we've had already this experience where we have talked about something maybe 2 or 3 times, and then the 4th time we talk about the same topic, we're both in tears or one of us is in tears.
Hits differently on
It just
different days.
hits
You can't
differently.
predict it.
You
Yeah.
can't, and that is part of it. So,
Yeah, really
it may take
fun.
on yes. And if that doesn't make sense, just, refer to some of the other numbers of expectations. We are real and authentic people. We are in the process of healing and we don't have it all figured out. And then the other piece that goes along with this, and Sarah and I really tried to figure out how to give an example of this. We even Googled like dark humor in a movie to see if we could reference. You're either going to get this or you're not, but a trauma survivor has the ability to go dark and really appreciate dark humor, and it can be shocking to those that haven't had the same lived experience. But we are going to go there, and it may be jarring. There's going to be some people that are just going to crack the fuck up and go, oh my god, these are my people. And then you may be offended, you may be a
Right.
member of the audience that's like, oh, they're
How
joking
could they
about
possibly
that.
be right, how could they be laughing about this?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Um, and so just a warning, just an
yeah.
expectation. And it comes out of nowhere. So,
It comes out of nowhere, and
out of
but you know what? Laughter and joy, they are one of the, like, main coping mechanisms, healthy coping
Healthy.
mechanisms in my toolbox,
Yeah.
right? Like, they are healers, so the more we can find laughter, in these times, in these experiences, that the better off we are, I think, in my
I
opinion.
think also both of us would say that we are far enough along in our healing journey that we're okay if we're the only ones laughing.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah.
how many times have I been in a room where I say something and I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
I
Well,
just cracked myself up, and
I
no one
found
else.
that I found it hysterical. Nobody else gets it, but and that has happened to me a number of times. So,
Yeah,
I think that also
sure.
builds our confidence of just like, oh, whatever. Like, yeah, this is part of reality and
This is who we are.
this is who we are. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And, that goes perfectly into, the last thing we talked about on, like, this is what you can expect from us, and it's that part of this podcast is to help our own healing as well, so, like we said, there is no final destination when it comes to being a survivor and healing from abuse. It's a lifelong journey, and you can either look at that as, "Wow, that really sucks," or you can look at it as just an opportunity to keep growing as a human. And so Lisa and I are both recovering perfectionists,
Yes.
um, and so just being willing to roll with the punches with the technical glitches and everything else with this podcast, and come into this space too, and say, "You know what? We're imperfect, and it's safe to be imperfect." When you're in a situation of abuse, you are trying to be perfect because you're walking on eggshells and you're trying to hold everything together so that you don't set off the next cycle of abuse. And so learning that it's safe to not be perfect all the time is a really deep lesson that plays into that building the wise resilience, not just the resilience, but the wisdom, in your mind and your soul and your body, that, you know what, we're gonna fuck things up sometimes, and we're gonna be the only one awkwardly laughing by ourselves at something no one else found funny, and, like, we're gonna trip over our words, and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
safe to be imperfect.
I was feeling fine about this podcast, and I even said to my husband, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be fine. I think the hardest part is actually going to be hitting record because no
Mhm.
one needs to listen to this. This is me and Sarah choosing to have a conversation, and we're just hitting a button on the computer. And I was like, so it should be fine, right? I've talked about doing this for 4 years. And then I
Fast forward to
literally,
today.
I was wigging out like once to the 2 hour to when we were logging in. I was like, oh, here it comes. And it's almost like a hijacking. And you're just like, but we're okay. But
Right.
it again, it speaks to that wise resilience of my body gets to experience something that is joyful and
Mhm.
exciting and overwhelming, and it's not associated with fear. It
Right.
is not associated with being a fuck up or someone's perception of me being a fuck up. It is me showing up, pushing myself in a safe way with a safe person to go, okay, we've got this and we're going to rewire. We're going to rewire how it feels to be excited in our bodies.
So, part of that rewiring for me has come down to identifying those things that I can do to take care of myself. In moments when I am feeling triggered or, you know, after we have these conversations, it takes a while for the nervous system to kind of calm back down, right? Because bringing up these memories, these stories, they're still very visceral. They're still in our cells. So the post conversation, post
Yeah.
recording self care has played a large part in reaching that point of wise resilience, not just surviving, but getting to know what triggers you and what helps calm you down and feeling a little bit more in control of that. So Lisa, what are you going to do after we're done here to take care of yourself today?
Um, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to stand up and I'm going to just shake, just like intentionally, just be like, woo, did that thing. It's done. I'm gonna go outside and touch grass, walk and move my body and
Mhm.
allow the pent up, like you said, all the pent up stuff and all the actual, like after it's over, kind of helping everything calm down. So I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna eat a really good meal tonight to nourish my body. And I am planning on a good night's sleep. Like I have an aura ring and I am like, I know what I need to do to just have a good night's sleep. So
I'm gonna get that high score tonight.
I'm getting a high score. I'm also gonna eat some chocolate.
Obviously, yes. Yes.
So, how about you? What are you doing today?
I will be shaking. I will let the dogs out of their respective corners and we'll probably all shake together because they're stressed too. And I'm also planning a really good meal tonight, which is pizza because it is family movie night around here. So I will be I'll be doing pizza with my niece and nephew and watching some Zootopia. But yeah, I'm giving myself some permission to just like play for the rest of the day and surround myself with the kid energy and just kind of let that joy soak into me.
Yeah, yeah. And let's fucking celebrate. I mean, we
Yes,
did the hard fucking thing. We hit record
we hit record.
multiple times, but
Right?
we did it. We did the thing we
We
said we
did
were
it.
going to do. And so, yes, I think that's part of the joy is celebrating, is celebrating big and little things. And this may seem
Mhm.
little to somebody else, but we set out to do something and we pushed through
We
and we did the
we
thing.
showed up for ourselves.
We showed
Yeah.
up for ourselves in a new way, in a brand
Yeah.
new way. So we just wanted to thank everybody for joining us. We hope you continue to listen, and we hope that you also share this with others who you think would benefit.
Yes.
You'll find our contact information below. Sarah mentioned earlier, we're going to have resources available to those that need more information. Just reminding you to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and this may get raw, building wise resilience. And until next time, remember,
You have survived the storm and now it's time to thrive. So let's all keep rising.